Alright, so there's the beast sitting there. I just thought I'd show you guys the way I run it. First of all, let's take a look at the temperature. Okay, so you can see the CPU temperature is up because I decided to try a little mild overclock. I usually run it at stock speeds, but I decided to go for 3 gigahertz. I just used the motherboard intelligent tweaker, and what that does is that sets the voltages for you automatically. So as you can see, it's kind of got a high voltage for a 3 gigahertz overclock. Standard voltage is about 1.25. I think I can get a 3 gig overclock at about 1.3875 usually, because I'm running the DDR2 at its EDC at 1000. It needs to be at about 2. Let's say 1.2 or so. So it's set it at that, which is fine. Temperature's a little high. It usually runs about 30, 35 in the air-conditioned house here. So you can see the fans are turning over pretty slow. And so let's go back. Let's see here. We'll go back to the motherboard intelligent tweaker, show you the settings that you get on the Gigabyte G8X38 DQ6. It does a lot of stuff automatically. We've got a 7.5 is your maximum multiplier on the CPU. So I moved the bus frequency up to 400, and then to get the 1000 DDR, I have to move the system multiplier down, the system memory multiplier down to 2.5. Yeah, you got something to say about it? Okay. And it'll run fine at 555.15. This is about as I don't know what I'd say, like a medium-sized overclock that I could run all the time. It's about 3 gigahertz. But generally, because I'm just using it as a server and everything, I don't bother overclocking. I want it to run as cool as possible, and I can actually undervolt it slightly. Well, we got some Ninja Turtle watching going on in the other room, so that's the cackling. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and boot into the. Let's go ahead and boot. Yeah. I want to show you I'm using my de novo wireless keyboard. I love this keyboard. It is nice and thin, and it's just beautiful. Beautiful keyboard. But here you can see, yep, we got a 3 gigahertz overclock, and it's just seeing 2 of the drives until it gets to the other 4 here on the RAID 5 controller. This is the part that takes the last part to boot up. The Eureka 1210 does a self-check, make sure everything's okay, and if I wanted to, I could go in there and do stuff inside the Eureka too. It has its own BIOS, including you can do a flash, update it and whatnot. And there you have it. Now I'll boot up into Windows Vista Ultimate. Really? Okay. Well, I can deal with you in a minute. It's kind of slow to boot because it's got so many hard drives here. Can you hear the thumping? And the little hard drive indicator going wild. I like that sound. There you have it. Well, you know how they say picture's worth 1,000 words. This is the rig, so you can pause the screen if you want to see that. And I'm going to run a benchmark here. I'm going to need both my hands though. And this is PC Wizard. You can download it from CPU ID. It's an excellent piece of software. It's free. You should check it out sometime. Okay, so right now, run a little benchmark on the CPU. Since I got a mild overclock, I'm just curious. So, and there's the PC Wizard. And so he's giving me some, whatever that is. I have no idea how to work that. Now, a while back, we got a virus on this computer, thanks to my wife constantly hunting for coupons on sketchy sites. And so we've got this surrogate stop working thing. I've tried to fix this. I've really done a lot of research trying to fix this. I can't fix it without reinstalling. If anybody knows how to fix that error, hey, let me know. What it does is it keeps you from using the menu, the right-click type menus and stuff. You just can't even use them. It's very annoying, and it kind of locks up the whole program. But anyway, I usually never install stuff that you see, like you install free software and they say, install this, install that. I don't. But RegCleanPro is something I've used many times, and it's one of the few registry cleaners I'll actually trust. I haven't actually checked my registry for quite a while. And as you can see, it just goes and scans all this crap and sees what's going on. Maybe it'll fix it for me. I doubt it though. But I just thought I'd point that out. RegCleanPro is pretty cool. Another excellent program I think everybody should have on their computer these days, because there's so much nasty malware out there, stuff where you don't even have to go to a website. You can just like hover over a hyperlink, it seems like, and you'll get something on your computer. So Malwarebytes is awesome. It does tend to find a lot of false positives. It says it's a malicious process trying to block the execution attempt, but it's actually software that came with the Gigabyte motherboard. So yeah, there'll be a lot of false positives and stuff, but in my opinion, it also can root out stuff that nothing else can. Let's go ahead and, is it going to work? Can I get it? Click. There you go. Anyway. Yeah, it's going to find a lot of false positives. It thinks that 3D Mark is stuff. It thinks there's a lot of stuff that it thinks it's. But anyway, yeah, I check it out. It's good for your computer. Another really excellent little piece of free software is called RealTemp. It's just great. It shows you the load. You can run a little benchmark if you want to. Shows you the temperature. Much more accurate than a lot of other temperatures. And the only thing it doesn't show you is it doesn't show you the voltage of your CPU. That's why I like another wonderful piece of software, CPU-Z. Okay, take a look at that. Now, as you can see, before I had like 1.49, 1.5 on the CPU voltage, and like I was saying before, I can run a lower voltage. I could probably run a little bit lower than this, but I think that 1.39 is not going to really hurt the CPU. I think 1.5 is a little high for a 45 nanometer processor myself. I mean, I know if you don't really care and you're just benching a chip and you want to burn it up, you can put any kind of voltage you want through it, but as I just wanted to show you that, it's got I went back into the motherboard, into the BIOS, that MIB tweaker thing that Gigabyte created, and they're just crazy with the voltage. I mean, their idea of making a stable overclock is, okay, just pour some volts through the CPU. Well, yeah, that actually is not a good idea for long term. And as you can see, this is an ES chip. I'm so proud of that. I love my ES chips. But, yeah, look, I got the 1.39, which I think is pretty reasonable for 3 gigahertz under load. Now, if you were like not really going to be loading up the CPU a lot, you could probably go even lower. But the thing is that once it gets really loaded up, it may lock up on you. So I found that Malwarebytes, it doesn't really create much of a load. As you see, I'm only getting like 5-10% of a load. Now let's run excess bench. Now that'll temporarily load it up 100%, but not for very long. Okay, so once you start testing it, you can see the load jumping up. Oh, I'm really surprised. I was expecting more of a load than that. It's only loading at 30%. That's pretty lame. Okay, I don't know why that's supposed to be such a good thing. Look, it thinks my Xeon is running at 5-7 gigs. So I guess that's pretty lame. But one thing you can use, which is pretty cool, is let's see if I can find it. Where's my HyperPi? HyperPi is pretty serious as far as getting a load up on your PC, and we'll just do it at 1 meg. Now I've already got a bunch of other stuff going on, but right away you'll see 100% load. And considering you saw like the fan's only running like 500 RPMs, and it's just a little Enzotech low profile cooler, like for an HTPC, and I think that's pretty decent considering there's only like 3 fans in the whole case. And nothing to be excited about. I used to be able to run 1 meg at about 10 seconds with my other rig, so this is very, very slow computer compared to what I'm used to. But for what I use it for, who cares? So, but yeah, HyperPi, which is good for Vista, CPU-Z, which is good for all computers, especially if you like to overclock and test things. And of course, real temp, which is just really nice because it leaves a little monitor down here. It tells you your temperature all the time. And then, of course, Malwarebytes and PC Wizard. These are things I like to use. I also like to do hard drive benchmarking and stuff, but I'm not going to get into that right now because I'm busy scanning, and it wouldn't give you a proper thing. So, you know, that's pretty, what I'd say, run-of-the-mill type PC tweaking and playing around with. It's stuff that anybody should be able to do. But, you know, I used to really love to see how far I could overclock stuff, but that was with rigs that didn't do anything. I mean, I would build a rig and then try and overclock it until it, you know, froze up. I don't like to do that with the home server. It's just not a good idea for my needs. Same thing with my son's little green computer here. I mean, I run this thing totally bone stock, and it could overclock, ridiculous overclock, but, you know, it's an i7 rig, but I don't see the need. I mean, why overclock something if all you're doing is basically sitting here looking at your videos, you know, and looking at your pictures. Speaking of which, here's some cool pictures of this lizard. So funny. This lizard's got a lot of personality, man. He was really enjoying hanging out. But, yeah, I mean, I used to really be into benching. I mean, my favorite game wasn't gaming. I just loved benching. I liked Super Pi an awful lot, and I liked all the 3D Mark stuff, you know, when I had enough money to buy top-of-the-line graphics cards. Of course, that's the first thing you're going to do. You know, you buy a $500 graphics card, you're going to run 3D Mark on it, you know. But nowadays, with all the crappy hardware I've got that's way, way, way out of date, what's the point? So I just optimize, clean, maintain. It's basically all I can afford to do. But have you seen the new Crysis 3 trailer? Oh my God! I might have to buy a real graphics card now. Whew. I don't know where that's going to come from, but Crysis 3 is going to be awesome. It's so beautiful to look at. Will it run Crysis? Probably not, but I'm going to try anyway.